What's going on? This is Big G from G Riders, and welcome to another episode of Testing Rides. Today, I'm going to be testing out the 2021 Ford Bronco Sport Big Bend. Welcome to the 2021 Bronco. This is a new model for the 2021 model year, and this is going to be the most attainable Bronco that's going to be on sale. This 2021 Ford Bronco Sport is based on the current generation of the Ford Escape, and that which is on the C2 platform. And it makes sense that Ford would make another crossover that's a little bit more rugged that goes on that platform because Jeep has been selling a lot of Jeep Compass and Renegade Trailhawks, and Toyota's been doing very well with their Toyota RAV4 Adventure Grade. So this is kind of very similar to this is a kind of a similar place in the lineup as those vehicles are, even though this car is its own model. This is the 2021 Ford Bronco Sport, and all Ford Bronco Sports come standard with the 1.5 liter turbocharged 3-cylinder, making 181 horsepower and 190 foot-pounds of torque. Because this is a small crossover, this does weigh just over 3,400 pounds. But despite its boxy shape and the 3,400 pounds, it's not too bad, but also it's quite boxy and also doesn't have that much power. It still manages to get a very reasonable 23 in the city and 28 out on the highway, which again is not too bad at all. So this is the 2021 Ford Bronco Sport Big Bend. But a base model Bronco Sport starts at about $27,000, and I believe all-wheel drive does come standard on the Bronco Sport. So this one is it's a one step up from the base model. So this one does come with keyless access system and some other small things. We'll talk about that on the walk around of the car. But this one is about $30,000 as spec'd, and I think that's actually not too bad a price. If you look at all the other more like off-roady style small crossovers, they're about the same price in terms of starting. Like if you look at a Compass Trailhawk, it's about 30 grand. If you look at a Adventure Grade RAV4, it's about 30 grand, if not a little bit more than that. But $30,000 for this vehicle is about class average for the rugged style compact crossover. With that said, let's go ahead and take a look around the car, inside, and take it out on the road. Welcome to the exterior tour of the 2021 Bronco Sport. So let's go ahead and start here at the very front. So even though this is the smallest Bronco that's on sale, it still has the signature Bronco grille. So when the big full-size Bronco came out, they set a certain styling cues with these kind of retro style headlights. That's very modernized, of course, but they set that up from, like, I believe it was like the 70s Broncos. If I'm wrong, I'll put it in the lower thirds, but it's the 70s Bronco, and they just modernized the grille. So they put that on both the full-size Bronco and this little Bronco Sport, and I like how it has Bronco badged in the grille. And I think it's cool because the car doesn't actually say Ford anywhere. It just says Bronco. Any logo that's on this vehicle says Bronco, not Ford. So I think that's cool. Like, even if we take a look at the key, it says Bronco on it instead of Ford. I think that's really cool. All right, so coming around the side here, the Bronco comes with these nice little 17-inch wheels on the Big Bend model. And honestly, I think the wheel design is actually kind of cool. I think if I bought this one, I would actually buy a higher trim model, but I would actually get a pair of these to put like more of my off-roady wheels on it, and then I'll have like some bigger wheels to put for my street tires. I think that'd be the best way to go. Coming around the side here, it has the trim level, the Big Bend. I think that's really cool with that nice little mountain peak, and it's all black and white. I think that looks really awesome. Come around the back. If we take a look at this angle right here of the Bronco Sport, this kind of looks like the Land Rover Freelander from like the early 2000s kind of styling, and kind of also it's styled a little bit like the early 2010s Ford Escape. So but I do like the boxy styling. Come around the back. This is the part that kind of falls apart for me, honestly. The tail lights look like old Ford Escape tail lights. I like the Bronco Sport in the badge and the Bronco Sport in the back. And I like that it's white. I think that looks pretty cool. And that's the only Ford badge that I've seen on the exterior of the car. I don't think I've seen any other ones. But style it from the back. This looks like a lot of different boxy SUVs that have came before it. Like it kind of looks like a Honda Element. It also kind of looks like that Ford Escape as I mentioned before, and it kind of looks like that like a Land Rover. So, you know, but at this point, cars have been out for so long. Like cars are gonna start looking like each other, just because if they're using the same type of similar type of styling. But you know, that's not big of a deal. I think it still looks fine. It's just this is not my favorite. This is my least favorite angle of the SUV. One really cool thing is this has both a lift gate and a part where you can raise the glass up. So if you click on the right side, it raises the tailgate up. If you click on the left side, it opens the glass only. I think that's really cool. I haven't seen that on like a vehicle this size in a very long time, so it's kind of cool that they added that touch on here. Coming out to the other side is exactly the same as the other side. I mean, why wouldn't it be? It's not a Hyundai Veloster after all. Got your big bend there. And one thing I forgot to mention with the front bumper actually kind of looks like a little bit like the Raptor bumper, but with a little bit more like skirting just to get better gas mileage. But I think it looks. But the front for sure is my favorite angle of the SUV. I think from this angle right here, this angle of the SUV is the best angle of it, I think. So let me go ahead and cut on the lights so you guys can see what it looks like when I'm on. You got the LED turn signals and running lights. I think that looks pretty good. Hopefully somebody makes it, it'd be cool to get like the LED lights, like the amber LED lights in the grill. I think that'd be pretty awesome to put on here. With that said, though, let's take a look at the interior. All right, let's take a look at the interior of the 2021 Bronco Sport. So, all of the bits on the outside are painted. Are like this exposed plastic. So like if you're off-roading, you're not gonna damage anything. Like these mirror caps, everything, and even the door handles. And this does have like keyless access system. You got like the notches there to lock and unlock the vehicle, and to unlock it, just walk up to it, grab the door handle, and it unlocks. And welcome to the interior of the 2021 Bronco Sport. You got the little graphic playing there when you get in. It's a little laggy. Probably needs a little update, or it needs a software update for sure, just because it is a little laggy, but it still looks pretty cool. All right. Welcome to the interior of the 2021 Bronco Sport. The interior of the Bronco Sport is actually pretty nice, but it's really utilitarian. So there's a lot of hard, cheap plastics in this car, but this also is kind of going to be more ruggedy of an SUV. And people are going to go off-road with these and camp and do all the type of fun adventure type of things. So this car is easy to like clean and wipe down. I think that I like that quite a bit. So up here where you rest your arm, it's decently soft. Hard plastic, no leather wrap steering wheel. But you know what? I'm not going to roast this car's interior too much because I know what this thing is for, but you know, still got to point it out. So here in the center console, you got a 8-inch Sync 3 screen here. This does have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. The plug is down there. It has a regular USB and a Type-C charger. If you get a higher model, you can get a wireless charger right there. And also like that has this little, I call it like a phone shelf, to where like when I'm using my Apple CarPlay, I can put my phone up here, or you can put like sunglasses there, or really anything, to be honest. It's kind of nice to have that. So this has the typical Ford hockey puck shifter type of thing, and it has electronic parking brake with auto hold, and also has the GOAT modes. So the GOAT modes in Broncos are the drive select modes, basically. So you get like you have like the different modes, like the Eco, the Bronco mode, the Sport mode, the Wet mode, the Sand mode, all that stuff. I think that's really cool that it's called the GOAT mode. I think that's really cool. And I like this. I like the design of this of the center console, because you have to have two cups and then something else in the middle. So like, you know, keep your hand sanitizer in the middle, or you know, something like that. I think that's really cool. Like a pack of gum in there. I think that's really cool. Moving over to the other side. The other side is pretty nice. It's pretty like utilitarian inside. It's not like a luxury model or anything like that. This one does have the cloth seats. The cloth seats are actually really nice, and they're really comfortable. They're pretty supportive. And also, let's take a look at myself here. As you guys know, I'm over 6 feet tall and over 350 pounds, and I have plenty of space in this SUV. I think it's a lot of headroom, a lot of shoulder room. But again, since it's a compact SUV, it doesn't have a big back seat. So, you know, that's the only like issue with the interior, but for the most part the interior is pretty set up. It's pretty nice. So with that said, let's go ahead and head on the road. Welcome to the driving portion of the 2021 Ford Bronco Sports Big Bend. So heading on the road, before we kind of get onto the open road, just kind of some basic city driving stuff here. The new Bronco Sport is a very nice vehicle to drive. Honestly, it reminds me of any other really crossover this size. So within this space, this car kind of competes with like cars like the RAV4 Venture Grade and like the Trailhawk Compass, the Trailhawk Jeep Cherokee, and like the Trailhawk version of the Renegade. So more of the more rugged off-roady style SUVs of the more ruggedy off-roady style of the crossovers. And from the exterior styling and kind of the seating position and the way this drives, it fits in with those cars very well. If not, I would say this is almost better than some of those cars. So this car, what makes this car is very different though. So what sets this apart from like the Jeep rivals and even the Toyota rivals is how well this car drives. So in the city, it has a very nice ride. The steering is nice and easy. The suspension is nice and compliant and soft and comfortable, but it's like what I would call modern soft, to where it's soft, but it's not like squishy and boaty and fully like the way like a 4Runner drives or like a Jeep Wrangler drives. It drives like a good driving small crossover would. You expect a good driving small crossover would. It's not quite like sporty as a like a Mazda CX-5 or something like that, but it actually is pretty sporty. There's some sport in the Bronco Sport. It is called the Bronco Sport because this is like technically like the smaller version of the Bronco, so they call it the Bronco Sport. So when people are thinking something sporty, it's smaller, but I can tell you there is some sport in the Bronco Sport. So this has the 3-cylinder 1.5 liter, and it makes a nice sound, honestly. Oh wow, it's raining quite hard, but it makes a nice sound. It sounds like half of an inline six. I think it sounds kind of better than like a 4-cylinder would. It doesn't intrude into the cabin too much when you're under heavy load, and when it does intrude though, it doesn't sound that bad at all, especially with it being 3-cylinder instead of 4-cylinders. I kind of like that Ford went with this 3-cylinder as the base engine versus like a 4-cylinder. But this engine is not really the right match to this vehicle. But again, this is literally like one step up from the base model, so it makes sense that this doesn't have like the fastest of the motors that you can get for this car. So, oh my gosh, see, my phone just flew off the shelf, my little shelf there. Because this vehicle does have a lot of torque, and it delivers it pretty low down, which is pretty nice. But it drives and handles for the most part it drives. Well, not drives, but for the most part it accelerates like any of the modern like 4-cylinder small crossovers would. Like it has some nice good amount of torque. At 3,400 pounds, it's not too heavy. And yeah, for the most part, just the basic city driving stuff, it drives really nice. So we're going to get onto some open road to see kind of how it handles when the road is a little bit more curvy. But as we're getting there, one thing I want to mention is, since this car is on a Ford Escape platform, this drives just like a kind of higher riding, boxier new Ford Escape. And the new Ford Escape drives pretty nice. I've driven one off camera and I liked it quite a bit. I think I had it for like a day and just really didn't have time to film a whole video with it, but I liked it quite a bit. All right, let's kick it over to sport mode. In the GOAT mode, shift modes, go over to sport. See, like, power's not bad. Like the 181 horsepower and 190 foot-pounds of torque, that's not too bad at all. The only thing I wish is this had like some type of manual mode or some pedal shifts or something like that. Because like, there's some times where I think I would rather be manually shifting this 8-speed automatic transmission rather than it do all the work itself. But when you go on a road, with some nice fun curves and turns. You see the sport in the Bronco Sport's name. No, this is not, like I said, no, this is not a sporty, something like a CX-5, but it's still pretty good for what it is. Like, it handles pretty close like what a CX-5 handles, but not quite all the way there. But like, the steering is you know, typical crossover steering, but the way this car holds corners, really well through this car corners pretty well, despite this being kind of a boxy, kind of small crossover type of thing. And and I believe this does have some type of torque vectoring system, and that torque vectoring system gives you some confidence when going around, that you can go around corners pretty quickly and not understeer off into a ditch. Yes, this car, I mean, it does understeer and all that stuff because it is a big heavy crossover, and the tires on it are not like made for like quick driving on roads like this, but they are pretty, but it does do very well for what it is. Couple things. I have couple other things. Space-wise, this car has really good space in the front. As you guys can see, I'm over 6. As you guys already know, I'm over 6 feet tall, over 350 pounds, and I'm very comfortable. I got plenty of headroom, plenty of shoulder room. But this car is kind of it's a boxy car, so I expected to have this. I expected to have all this space in here, and I really like that this car has all this space in here. I love boxy cars for this reason. And the only thing I wish is the Tester that I had here had a sunroof. That would bring this car all together, in my opinion. But overall, just the seating position and all the space up here in the front is pretty nice. So, this car is about $30,000. And for $30,000, you get like the keyless access, you get the bigger screen, you get you get like privacy glass and some other like small touches on the exterior and interior in terms of trim. And I think that even though the base model is the more cheap, frugal one, you shouldn't go less than this one. This is the one that you should get. This is like the SE in terms of like Volkswagens, or the premium in terms of like Subarus, or like the SV in terms of Nissan. So this is like the mid-range model, to where if you can swing it, you should get nothing. You should get no less than this particular model, because this comes with all the stuff that you would want to get. And if you want to get a sunroof and stuff and more options, you can go up to some of the other trims of the Bronco Sport. But if you're looking at kind of a lower base model, this is the one to get for sure. Overall, I think this new Bronco Sport is something that's really needed. And this was very needed in Ford's lineup of crossovers. Yeah, 'cause, I mean, as you know, Ford got rid of all their sedans. Only like car they sell technically is the Mustang, and you know, to fill those spaces, they needed some SUVs. I don't really know what space this SUV fills in Ford's lineup, but if they're gonna make only SUVs, they should have a good amount of SUVs to choose from. In my opinion, this car slots in between the EcoSport and the Escape. I think the Escape might be a little bit bigger, and of course this is much bigger than an EcoSport and much better than an EcoSport. I'm not even gonna get started about those. Those are something else. And not in a good way. But Ford needed to make another SUV in the lineup. They needed to make something a little bit more rugged, which hence they brought the Bronco name back. I mean, if you think of like, oh well, that Bronco kind of sucks. This is not the big full-size Bronco, and you're right. It is not the big full-size Bronco. The big full-size Bronco is a truck. This is for someone who wants kind of the same attitude as the big truck, but can't exactly afford it, or the big truck doesn't really work in your life. You live in the city and you need to be able to park places easier. You need to get better gas mileage and everything. This is the car to do that. This is what this is like equivalent to like a GT version of like a Charger. So the GT version is like the V6 Charger that gets the RT's body kit and suspension, and this is kind of the similar type of thing in terms of like where this car kind of sits versus the other Bronco. Some people are going to be are never going to believe in this Bronco for being a Bronco, but if you want to look back at the history books, there was the Bronco 2. The Bronco 2 was the thing, and the Bronco 2 was the thing it was like the small version of the Bronco, and this fills that same space. No, it's not like a truck, but it's a crossover that does pretty similar. That does a pretty similar thing to the big Bronco, but just not as well, because of course it's not as big and it's not as like off-road capable as the full-size Bronco. And even though I was not able to test this thing on off-road, I believe from what I've seen online, this thing is very good off-road. This is definitely worthy to carry the Bronco name, even though it's a crossover. But in our modern world, crossovers are what's popular, crossovers are what sells. So in order to make like a smaller version of the Bronco that's going to sell, it had to be a crossover, and it makes complete sense. So overall, I like this vehicle quite a bit. You know, should you look to buy this car? Should you look to just put it on your list, or should you like not even think about it or worry about looking at this car? I think this one, you got to put it on your list, because it offers so many things, like pretty good fuel efficiency. It looks great. It drives great. And the price is actually not that bad for what you're getting. I mean, because you do get all-wheel drive standard on Bronco Sports. So, you know, with that, I think you could definitely consider it. Like, there might be a couple things about this car that you may not like, but that's why I think you should put it on the list in terms of whether you should get one or not. Excuse me. So, final verdict, put it on your list, because it's a great vehicle. So if you've liked this video, hit me with a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, keep riding me. Thanks for watching.